So I just finished this new automation that I'm really excited about because it could represent an entirely new way to source leads. We're always looking for more leads. Traditionally, in any industry I've been in, we pretty much source leads in the same way. You create some sort of demographic based on who you think is likely to buy from you. And you might use your current customers. You might just sort of have some theoretical idea. Usually it's just, in my industries, Series A through C companies in SaaS, in technology, looking at a specific customer profile, like a CTO. So that works to an extent. Usually you're using filtering in some kind of system like ZoomInfo, Apollo, or LinkedIn Sales Navigator. But what if there was another way where we could gauge a little bit more intent? So you have these third-party tools like 6sense that work to some degree. They're kind of, I've seen mixed results. They're also very expensive. But what if we could actually like take control and figure out our own ways of gauging intent so that we can get a better customer profile and hopefully get better response rates and performance from our outreach. So I came up with a few ways a few months ago that I've been trying and I've been getting success with. One of them, of course, is pretty well known. It's scraping comment threads of creators who you think are within your niche. So people who are posting about a topic that, like problems that you solve, you can pull those prospects into a cadence and do outreach to them. Another way that I've found some success with is LinkedIn groups. So it's possible to join a group and then create filters in Sales Nav and scrape the members of that group and then do outreach to those folks. So there's some intent there. Obviously, you can do more qualification after that initial step. The third way, which is what I'm really excited about right now and what I've started working on, is the customer cloning method. So basically, wouldn't it be great if we could take some of our existing customers who we think are just the best type of customers to work with? They were easy to sell to. They had really strong problems that we were able to solve, all the things that make a great customer. And what if we were able to put that into some sort of intelligent engine that would create like this 360 profile that really measures that intent, and it doesn't share like surfacey data like, where they work or what industry they're in. That might not be as important as other signals that really made them more likely to buy and then be great customers after they bought. So I set about trying to build something like this, and I call it the customer cloner. So basically what I'm going to do is walk you through a quick demo, show you some of the results we're getting, kind of show you how I'm thinking about this, and then I'll walk you through briefly how it works. Hey, if you don't know me yet, my name is Josh Martin. I build AI automation systems for lean founders and revenue leaders. If you're interested in building something similar to what you see in this video, feel free to book a free strategy call using the link below. So again, as we walk through this, keep in mind this is a high-level overview. I'm really just wanting to show you what's possible here. If you're looking for a more in-depth tutorial, feel free to let me know in the comments. I can definitely make that happen. All right, so diving in. So here we have the customer cloner, and as with many of my automations, this one starts in Claude. Claude's a great way to control all kinds of AI systems and other software systems using something called MCP, which is an incredibly powerful way for AI to communicate with software. Claude's way ahead of the curve on this, so now I use it pretty much for everything to control different systems that I use every day. So the way I'm going to do this is actually start with a Claude project that I've already created. And what you can think of a project is very similar to like an agent. So you're giving it essentially a system prompt. They're calling it instructions here, but essentially it's a system prompt. So it's giving it an identity, it's giving it a core purpose, and then it's giving it a protocol for what the actions I actually want it to complete here. In my case, what I'm looking for is for it to do extensive intelligence gathering on this particular prospect or customer and figure out really what makes them tick in every way possible. What makes this really special though is we're not just looking at publicly available data. We're actually looking at our internal data. So you can imagine it's actually mining things like call logs, call transcripts, your internal notes database, your email, all the ways that you've potentially communicated with a given customer to really get that 360 view of their entire customer journey, and then use that intelligence to create this 360 profile that we're then going to use to search for more similar customers to go after. So looking again at this prompt, it's got this protocol here to collect a bunch of data, to do some web intelligence, to do internal intelligence using the tools that I've given it access to, and then giving it instructions on how to use each tool. really the more guardrails you can give with Claude, the better, because it's going to have just a higher success rate whenever you ask it to do anything. Okay, so without further ado, let's jump into LinkedIn. And I more or less just picked a random person, but essentially it's like my target demographic, at least right now, is sort of high margin real estate investors who are running solo or with a small team, who really want to stay lean and scale their operations. There's a lot of moving parts in real estate, so it's kind of a ripe opportunity for automation, with each deal value and each investor value being so high. So with that, I'm just going to copy and paste the LinkedIn profile URL, and then I'm going to drop it into Claude. Okay, and so what I've instructed it to do is start with just a lot of intelligence gathering. So it's going to actually start using a tool that I created called the LinkedIn Actions tool, which is a subflow controlled by an MCP server in N8N. And really, it's just a way to access the Tavily API and perform any action a human being can do on LinkedIn programmatically. It's done its initial research. It's pulling Ryan's posts. It's pulling his profile information, and now it's doing several web searches via the Tavily API, which is a great API for giving web access to AI agents, and it can perform different actions like searching for and extracting information off of the web. What's most interesting about this is that it's actually going to pull in from my internal systems as well. So it's not just getting publicly available data. It's actually going to pull meeting transcripts from the Firefly API. It's going to search my messaging history with this person. And then it's going to grab from whatever other systems it needs to track their entire customer journey and really get that razor sharp 360 customer view, which is then going to submit to my customer cloner workflow in N8N. So as you can see, we're starting to get some leads in here. It starts really in just bursts of like 2 or 3, because what it's doing is scraping through Sales Nav search results, 10 leads at a time. It's literally paginating the results. So basically what it's going to do is run that through an AI agent, which will then qualify them to actually confirm that they match the profile we're looking for. So clicking into some of these results here, let's see, Rahul, founder, visionary leader into AI. Looks like he's part-time. Looks like he's a CRO at one company and a co-founder of another, but certainly fits our profile. Let's see a few more of these. C-level technology executive, AI, IoT, serial entrepreneur. Seems like he's into starting companies, probably wants to stay lean while he does that. Industry gaming executive, serial entrepreneur, starting a company. Starting a new venture, looking to scale it quickly. And then the last one we have here, multi-exit founder, systems thinker. So it's gathered a bunch of intelligence on these folks, which we can actually go through here. So this first column, customer clone description, explains the person we're trying to clone. So the first person that I put into Claude, it's talking about sort of the tenets of his success and how he makes decisions, his behavioral profile, and sort of, the profile that we're trying to replicate. If we look at customer clone analysis, essentially we have these success patterns we're looking for, and then the archetype definition, high-performing entrepreneurs who have built premium service businesses using media and content as a competitive advantage. That's the Claude knows that's really who I'm looking for. Solo operators, small teams, proven track record, etc. The customer clone description. And then we have the lead data of the person that we're comparing the clone against. So in this case, this is the person's lead profile, research results, and then archetype alignment assessment. So financial capability, 6 out of 10. Evidence, 30 plus years building and scaling this company. Retainer mindset, evidence, summary cites cultivated long-lasting client relationships across the globe. qualification rationale, demonstrates core elements of the high margin, media enabled solo operator archetype, founder level decision authority, long track record of building and scaling technology businesses, and clear technology AI orientation. Financial capacity inferred from 30 plus year entrepreneurial track record, claims strong CAGR and global operations. Not sure what that means, but basically overall alignment, like it's giving it a realistic score. It's not perfect. It thinks that it qualifies, but in this case, it would seem barely. I have seen it give people higher ratings when they sort of fit the profile better. But essentially you have this pattern of comparing someone against a customer clone description that we've created through like really deep and thorough analysis. So that's kind of like the pattern here. Really what this does now is these people get pulled into my automated LinkedIn cadence. So they've gone through some pretty rigorous qualification. There's even another step of qualification, and then they actually get pulled into an automated outreach cadence that I've designed in LinkedIn that's customized to these different customer profiles. So now I want to dive in and show you a little bit of how this thing works under the hood. So right here, you see this MCP server trigger that we've created in Claude. And the process of creating these things is actually really simple in Claude. All you do is go to this little search and tools button at the bottom of your screen, and then manage connectors. And if you scroll down, you can actually add a custom connector, and that's where you add in your MCP URL from N8N. So if I toggle back to N8N here, and I click on this MCP server trigger, it's going to give me a link, and I want to use the production one. And I'm going to copy and paste that into Claude, and that's literally it. Now Claude has access to this MCP server trigger, and it works just like a webhook. So if I essentially, I can give this MCP server trigger tools like an agent. In this case, I've given it a sub workflow tool, which is just a way of triggering any kind of N8N workflow. And then you can actually define its inputs. So in my case, I want it to give us a customer clone name, a customer clone description, and a Sales Nav search URL. So essentially all it's doing is it's identifying this profile, it's defining this person that we're looking for, and then it's creating a Sales Nav search that we can then scrape. So from here, it triggers this sub workflow, which has those same input parameters. And you can see what it's given here, this description, the name, and the Sales Nav search URL. So from there, it's getting my prompt for my next agent. I like storing all my prompts in Airtable because I can change them anytime I want and tune them through Claude because Claude has access to my Airtable. So I pull the prompt from my qualification agent. I have a little, I have a set node here, which is defining my credentials for Unipile. And then I'm performing a Unipile search using the Sales Nav endpoint. And basically that's where I'm plugging that URL in that the agent has passed to this workflow. And so that's what it's doing. It's just performing a Sales Nav search, just like you would do with all those different input parameters to define like the type of customer you're looking for. It's doing that same thing, but more quickly and intelligently. From there, it's going to pull out the first 10 results of that search, just the first page, and it's going to actually send those here to my AI agent. And the agent is essentially getting that customer clone definition, the description, and then the system message, which I have here in Airtable, is basically saying that you are a qualifier and that you're going to get a customer profile definition, that customer clone, and then you're going to get a prospect. You're going to get a lead and a bunch of lead information from Sales Nav. And your job is to match the two, to say, hey, this is the definition we're looking for. This is the current person we're looking at. Does this person match the profile? So it's basically just qualifying. And because it's a fairly simple task, I can actually just run it on GPT-5 Mini, which is like a very cost-effective model. And it's getting the same tools that my Claude agent has, that LinkedIn Actions Subflow, and the Tavily API tools to do its research to make sure this person fits our profile. From there, it's going to clean that data, and then it's going to add the ones that are qualified into Airtable, and it's just going to discard the rest. From there, it's sending everything all the way to this HTTP request here, and it's updating the cursor. So basically in Sales Nav, every time you do a search and you get a page of results, you're going to get a cursor which tells you what page you were on, what page you left off. And that's the way you can scrape long search results from LinkedIn or probably other APIs as well. So we're actually going to send that to this HTTP request, which is going to then trigger another flow here via a webhook. And it's going to send all those inputs along with the cursor. And it's going to keep track of what cursor we're on in Airtable. It's just going to be like our ongoing record. And it's actually just going to loop over and over these results via this flow. And in N8N, it's a little funky. Like when you have like a very cyclical workflow like this, I don't really know how else to do it. If somebody else does, leave it in the comments. But basically what I'm doing is that same flow of pulling the next page of search results, of sending them to the agent for qualification, updating the leads that match the profile, and sending them back to the HTTP request, which is then going to send it back to this webhook. And it's just going to keep cycling over page after page of results. And it works really well. With my last Sales Nav search, I got 100 qualified results out of probably a search that got us like maybe up to 1,000 raw results. I was then able to pull 100 from that. So yeah, it's just going to keep looping until it's done. And then I have an if node here, which is basically saying that the page we're on is not the final page. And if it is the final page, it's going to end the workflow so that we're not just caught in an infinite loop. Yeah, again, a pretty funky way to do that, but it seemed to work. So there you have it. Basically a way to take a simple LinkedIn URL of a customer that you're currently working with who you'd like to replicate, essentially find more customers like that person. And I want to do one for companies as well, but I think often it really just comes down to the individuals, right? Like really progressive people at companies that spearhead initiatives that want to make some kind of a purchase to transform their operations or transform their sales. That's usually what it's going to come down to. It's more about the person than the company, though the company does play a part in this workflow as well. So right now it's just feed in a LinkedIn URL, get 100 search results back of qualified customers who you can then do outreach to, feeling assured that they sort of fit your customer DNA. Hope that was helpful. Leave any feedback or links in the comments, or if you want to chat further, send me an email. But in the meantime, hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.